Okay, welcome to the presentation on getting hands-on Cisco time. My name's Paul Browning. So, quick hello really. I won't go into too much detail about who I am. I'm basically a Microsoft systems engineer, passed that a long time ago actually. Cisco certified network professional. I worked in the police for 12 years in the UK and for Cisco systems, and then I started my own IT company. There's me. I created this product which stems from a book actually with Farai Taffa, who's a well-known dual CCIE. I think together we've written about 12 books now that are on Amazon if you want to check our names, but they're pretty well known in the Cisco networking arena. So I created this product because around 70% of the marks in your Cisco CCNA exam are based on practicals. And not just the configuration part, but actually knowing what the practical commands are, troubleshooting, and using show commands. So it's really important that you nail the hands-on skills and really develop these to a high level because you're going to be tested on them. Now, if you've got access to any CCNA study guide on the market, you'll find the books focus around 70% on the theory and only 30% on the hands-on labs. Now this is actually the wrong way around. I mean, even my theory guides, I give it a maybe 50-50 weighting, but if you look at the actual exam marks, it's really heavily biased nowadays towards hands-on configurations, and there's no product out there really on the market that focuses purely on the hands-on part. Now the type of practicals you're going to experience in the CCNA exam, whether you do it in the 2 exam route or the 1 exam route, you can have a straight configuration lab where you've got to log onto Cisco switches or routers, one or multiple devices on the network, and actually configure access lists, protocols, VLANs, etc. Or you could have a pure troubleshooting lab where you've got a network that isn't working or an access list that's broken, and you've got to log onto the equipment and you've got to fix it. Or you could just have a piece of equipment where you're only allowed to use show commands to try and gather information, and then you have to answer questions based upon the show commands. Often these are in multi-part questions where you've got 5 sections that you've got to get correct before you can progress on to the next question. Now bear in mind that all of this is timed. You've got 90 minutes to answer all the theory questions and do all the hands-on labs, which is why Cisco really, they don't advertise this, but the pass rate is only around 50% internationally for the exam. So the exam, you're likely to be tested on the latest equipment, CCNA level equipment, which is the 2960 model of switch and the 1900 or 2900 model of router. You're more likely to get a focus on the iOS rather than the model of router. So Cisco say that you're tested on iOS 15.x in the exam. So this has all the latest bug fixes and all the latest commands available. Don't worry too much about having all the latest, greatest equipment. I've got a website called in60days.com, and on there I've got some videos telling you the kind of equipment that you would need to buy if you're interested in building your own home lab. So they're free videos that you can watch. You can get away with the Cisco 2950 model of switch. It's a lot cheaper, maybe $30 or so, and it does nearly all of the commands that the 2960 does. The Cisco 1700, 1720, 1750 model is really cheap as well. You can get those for $10 plus. And this is if you're building a home rack. I'm going to go through your other options. So in the exam, you will be tested on a simulator, not live equipment. Now, these things can be a little bit flaky. I've taken the exam several times myself, and the commands haven't worked or the actual simulator's broken. So it can be a little bit flaky, so just bear that in mind, but I'll cover this in the later lectures. So your options for getting hands-on experience: get your own home rack. eBay sells loads and loads of equipment, and if you're not sure what you're buying, vendors actually put together an entire rack for you for CCNA level. You get a budget rack, an intermediate, and then a high-level CCNA racks. And if you're planning to do more advanced exams such as voice or CCNP, the vendor will normally give you free advice. You can budget anywhere up to $350, but bear in mind you can sell all of that equipment if you want when you pass the exam. Your next option is GNS3. Google GNS3, I think the website's gns3.org. They've created a free simulation program, or it's an emulator. So this is a graphical interface program that will allow you to use Cisco switches, Cisco routers. You've got a very limited Cisco switch capability with GNS3 because of the way Cisco switch hardware works. I've created a free virtual machine, so if you don't want to install the software yourself, because it can be a little bit difficult to do, if you go to howtonetwork.com, if you click on racks and then vracks, there's a free downloadable solution. Now this is a router emulator, so it does everything a live router does, it's just doing it virtually. You need to supply your own version of Cisco operating system software called iOS. I can't supply it because it's all licensed by Cisco. There are ways to get hold of an iOS, which I cover in the videos on in60days.org, as I give you the link earlier on. Generally, you need to have your own router, which you can then use the iOS for home use just to practice. So go to gns3.org if you want to learn more about GNS3, and if you want to download my free solution, it's on howtonetwork.com. Really quick and easy to use. The only possible issue is you need a fairly beefy PC to use. I think it also works on Linux, but you can check the documentation. Next option is a router simulator. This is a program set of commands that sort of mimics what a router and switch can do. They were fairly popular until GNS3 came out. They're very limited commands. Companies such as Boson do something called a NetSim for CCNA, CCNP. They are very, very limited. They tend to be expensive, so for that reason I recommend you don't use them. Your other option is remote live racks. This is actual live equipment that you connect into over the internet at a designated time, and you can configure all of the equipment. Some people find it a bit intimidating, but it's definitely a great way to get some hands-on. If you go to Cisco Learning Network, if you Google that term, Cisco sell time on their remote racks. I've also got a members-only rack which is free to use, but as I said, it's for members on howtonetwork.com. There's normally a cost for accessing remote racks, obviously, but it is really convenient. The only issue is you normally have to book a slot using a timetable because other students want to use the equipment too. The other issue is the rack is cabled up in a certain way which may not match the topology that you want to do labs on. So just double check before you go booking any online rack time. Your other option is Packet Tracer, which is a really popular solution. It's officially only available to Cisco Network Academy students, and the Academy course, I think it's a year or two long, and it costs a few $1,000s. Other people have got versions of it, normally Cisco Academy trainers. There are pirated versions available on the internet, but obviously I don't condone downloading pirated software. Packet Tracer covers nearly all of the commands you will need for the CCNA. It's probably not suitable for CCNP, to be honest. When I do the labs, I will show you in a moment that I do use Packet Tracer for some of the labs, but when I come to do some of the show commands or debugs, it doesn't really work in the same way that a live router does. But if you're on a budget, I would say that it's probably enough to get you through the CCNA, and it's pretty handy to use. It's really easy, it's graphical, quick and easy to set up and do some quick labs. So if you're on a budget and you don't really want to be buying live equipment or logging into live equipment or using GNS3, Packet Tracer will do the job. Doing the labs. So all of the labs on the 101 labs for the Cisco CCNA, I've broken them up into two sections, CCENT or CCENT and ICND2. So that's if you're doing the 2 exam routes. If you're doing the 1 exam route, then obviously just follow along and do all the labs. You can dip into certain sections if you want, pick and choose, or you can start at the beginning and work your way all the way through, so following from top to bottom. As I said, it's marked according to which syllabus I'm following. Read the challenge. If you go into the video page, there's a download arrow you can see there that's marked as yellow in a yellow rectangle. That will give you a downloadable PDF which gives you the challenge. I recommend you have a go. If you get stuck, you can then watch the video, and at the end you can look at the solution. Okay, lab videos. I do some of my videos using live equipment. I've got my own remote rack of live equipment that I like to use. Some of them I do on Packet Tracer because it's just handy to use and it's convenient. Some I actually use GNS3, so I'm doing the labs on 3 different learning methods just to show you the limitations and how convenient it is to use all 3. Here's a screenshot of a Packet Tracer screen for a router, and here's a screenshot of, I think this is GNS3 or my virtual machine running GNS3. I don't have a screenshot of the live racks, but it's pretty much similar to the one with the black background and the white text. So if you want to request a lab or suggest something, just drop in a comment in the discussion. I will happily add more labs as we go along, especially if CISCO add anything to the syllabus. Just bear in mind that I will only add stuff that's relevant to the CCNA, so there's no point in asking for me to do BGP or configuring CISCO firewalls because it's just not in the CCNA syllabus. So drop a comment. I'd be happy to help. The other resource you'll need is the CISCO Learning Network. It's free to join. It's run by CISCO Systems. You just register in the register link at the top, and you can see the arrow points to the syllabus. It's down to you to keep a track in case CISCO add or remove anything to the syllabus. And CISCO reserve the right to add things to the exam that aren't in the syllabus, which is really naughty, but it's their right to do so. So just bear in mind that you need to keep a track of the CISCO Learning Network. There's a discussion forum and some other little cool tools and freebies on there also. So last thing to say really is, you know you're ready for the exam when you can do all of the labs in the 101 labs video course without looking at the solution, and you need to be able to do it in the time I allocate you. So thanks for watching.